Hello folks, and welcome to another episode of What Are You Doing? The show where we tell you what we're doing in our shop and you show us what you're doing in your shop. It's projects in progress, and we hold ourselves accountable for what we start all the way to where we finish. So, we've got a lot of entries this week. A couple weeks ago, we didn't have a whole lot of people. Last week, we had a fair amount of people that sent stuff in. And this week, Dan, we've got a lot.
How many you got?
I think it's like 20, at least 20 photos. And there were some photos that, just didn't get sent. People sent me emails, but I think they forgot to attach the photos.
Oh.
But yeah, there was a lot, plus a lot of emails. So there's a lot to cover in today's episode. So
what you're saying is it's going to be long?
It's going to be long.
Okay.
Yeah, so hang with us, guys. All right, so here we go. Let's get right into it. Frank Yazetta, he's got this wood wizard lathe. So it's not exactly a woodworking project, but it is woodworking related. He took this lathe and he restored it, and you can see it's all cleaned up, and he's pretty proud of it, and as well as he should be. So we'll see what kind of projects Frank's going to be making on that, but it looks really cool. Pat Meeuwisson. Hopefully I get it right. By the way, there's a lot of new people this week, and if I butcher up your name, you should wear it as a badge of honor, like you're in a special elite club that I can't
There's a lot
say.
of people in that club, Chad.
There are. At any rate, I've talked with Pat actually a lot over the last couple of years. We back and forth on some woodworking stuff. But Pat made this end table, and Pat actually says that he's fairly new to woodworking. But I mean, take a look at this. He made this, and it has looks like haunched mortise and tenons on it, and he's got the drawer set there in it, which, you know, those tenons are not an easy thing to do. And Pat said he made this all out of some reclaimed material, if I remember right. So, I mean, that's pretty cool to make stuff out of something that was thrown away. So, we'll look forward to see more of the progress of that table from Pat. We've got Stephane Chaput. He's another guy who took some material that was going to be reclaimed. He took some old pallets, and Dan, you like this. He made some beer holders out of it. Yeah. Nice. So definitely something near and dear to your heart on it. Tom Pritchard. Gosh, I butchered it up. He even told me in an email that was close enough. But Tom made this barn door for inside his house, and it's on one of those barn door tracks. And take a look at it's not a carving, but look at the pattern that he's got on the top there. It was pretty neat. And I asked him where he got that from. It looks like a trefoil from a church or something. And that's exactly right. He showed me a photo from some architecture woodworking out of a church by him. So kind of cool to see that. Tony Baggett, have to apologize. Tony sent this photo in to me last week, and I missed it. So, Tony, I'm very sorry. But Tony has added, as you can tell, a very long workbench in his shop. And I was joking with Tony that it would take me about 5 minutes to fill it with a bunch of crap, because you don't want to see my shop. Jacob Gomez. Jacob actually had this coffee table in his house for quite a while, but it was starting to look worn. It was getting beat up a little bit. So he refinished it, and now it looks great. It looks brand new. And I was telling Tony that I do not really enjoy refinishing pieces of furniture. I do it for customers, and I usually do it in the wintertime when I'm a little bit slower, but anyone who can go through stripping stuff down, fixing all the little dents and scratches, and then restaining it, hats off to you there, Jacob. Mark Firtzsimons. Now, Mark had some entries last week, and if you saw, he's a really talented fellow. Now, this isn't really a woodworking photo. This was a roof ceiling that he did for a customer. And I mean, and take a look at those ceiling joists in this house. I mean, pretty amazing. And I don't know if you can see in the photo, but they all come to a really tight points there in one area. That is some serious angles and some cutting, so really, really nice work there, Mark. We have Kevin Enlow. Kevin made this table out of some, I believe it was limited materials that he was working with, but he made this table for his wife. Always good to get in with the wife, on her good side. But he did this with 90% hand tools, which I love that. I love hand tools. You guys know that from watching the show. So, Kevin, really nice job on the table. Gary Marquardt made a table. Check it out, Dan. It's made out of an old whiskey barrel.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, at least it looks like a whiskey barrel. I mean, it could be a wine barrel. I don't know, but
No, we're going to say it's a whiskey barrel.
I think it was whiskey. And it was kind of cool because Gary made this, and then, of course, his kids right away want one for themselves, too. So Gary's going to be busy for a while. But, Gary, I would like one, too, if we're placing orders. Marvin Moore. Marvin is working on this breakfast nook bench, and I love breakfast nooks. I mean, there's something about them that's cozy and cute, and breakfast is my favorite meal of the day. So, Marvin's going to be showing more progress of his pictures there, but that's where he's at with it right now. And, oh man, Diego, I'm gonna screw your last name up. So we're just gonna have it listed right here at the bottom. I'm not even gonna attempt to say it because you'll probably hate me. So Diego has made these this kitchen cabinet for his place, and he's from, if I remembered right, I think he said Argentina, which is so cool to me that we've got people like from all over the world. Because I know like Mark was from Ireland, and it's just really cool that we got people from all over the world sending pictures in.
It is. It's real cool.
But Diego made this, and he said he's fairly new to woodworking, and his hand tools are very, very basic, which I have to say it looks like it's done very nicely with your limited tools. Dan, he said he probably has to have the world's cheapest hand plane because the parts are plastic on it. Hopefully not the blade. Hopefully that's metal. But at any rate, I was telling Diego, it doesn't really matter if you have expensive tools, great tools, a whole shop full of tools. It's all about how you can make your tools work for you. So very nice job. Ramiro Corral Jr. He made this cross for his mother. And he said he's new to woodworking. So it's a small project. He made it for his mother, which is, I think, very sweet. Mm-hmm. And you're making a cross. I mean, I think he's trying to get in with the, the guy up above, which can't hurt either. Can't hurt. But hopefully we'll see more of Romero's stuff, and we'd all like to keep encouraging you to do more. John Conklin, he made this Harley sign out of his CNC, his X-Carve CNC machine, and it's pretty neat. And John was one of a couple people this week that wrote into me and saw me up at the Adrian show a couple of weeks ago. And he had said that him and his wife wanted to come and meet me, but the line was too long. And I know, isn't that funny?
I wasn't laughing.
I am laughing. He was like, who the heck would get in line to talk to me? But anyway, John, I'm really sorry. I would have loved to talk to you and your wife. Just kick the other people out of the way next time. We're not done yet. We still got more names. And I'm sorry I'm rushing through your guys' names. I just want to make sure that this show doesn't get too long for you. Philip Quinn. Philip Quinn made some, it looks like end grain cutting boards. He sent in several cutting boards to me. They all look great. But I thought this one in particular just looked smashing, man. It looked great. Philip, I would like to see more of that stuff from you. That must have been some serious hours on it. It looks great. I don't know if you're going to use it or sell it, but hopefully you get some big bucks for it. Bill Crispin, he made these cabinet doors for his kitchen. He's doing the whole kitchen. This photo just shows one section. But I love the look to it. It kind of has that Asian feel. He's got bamboo in there. I love the two-tone color. Just looks really awesome. I'd love to see what the whole kitchen looks like, Bill. Gerald Jensen. Now, Gerald made this 6-sided vase, and he said that he turned it on the lathe, which I'm not sure how you do that. I mean, you guys have heard me say before that I'm not very good with the lathe. I only use it when the job requires it. But Gerald said he used to make furniture until he got a lathe. So he's clearly very talented with it. Martin Slagle, he made, he found a table that was thrown out, and he brought it back to life, and it looks nice. It looks to be maple. He's hoping to sell it, make a few bucks. I got to tell you, anytime I get a flat surface in here, I just fill it with something. So for me, tables and countertops are a bad thing to have. But I guarantee it, if Martin doesn't sell it, he'll be putting stuff on it. So, and then, of course, who do we always have, Dan, every week? Who do we always have? I mean, the show is named after him now. Kevin Delk. So Kevin Delk made, he's got 2 projects going. Both are for customers, which is really cool. Anytime you guys can make money at doing what you love, that's the best thing in the world. Kevin made a sword holder for one of them, and it looks like he's working on a pretty large table. I'm guessing, Kevin, is that a farm table that you're doing? Because I know those are really popular right now. Anyhow, Kevin's busy at it. So that is what you guys are up to. Did I get everyone? Hopefully, if I missed you guys, I'm really sorry. There was a lot of entries, and like I said, some of you forgot to send photos, or I just didn't receive the photos. But ooh, yeah, perfect. That's what you guys are up to. Here's what we are doing in the shop. So, I had talked to you in the past. Sorry, I'm going to back up one. A couple weeks ago when I was up there in Adrian, Dan, this is pretty amazing, to me at least. Okay. I was up there in Adrian, and as the one fella said that there was people waiting to talk to me, this guy waits to talk to me, comes up, big guy, very tall guy, comes up, and he's so happy to meet me. He's going on and on how much he likes my stuff, and I'm really good and everything, and I'm like, oh, thank you. And he gives me his card. John McGrath, this is you I'm talking to, buddy. We talk for a little bit, and he takes out his phone to show me some photos of the stuff he made.
Right.
And I'm assuming, this is wrong on my part, I'm assuming he's going to show me some beginner stuff, right? And I'm ready to give him some encouragement. Oh my God. His stuff is amazing. I mean, it was, John, I tried to find your website. He's at Twin Willows Woodworking. I didn't see a website. I was looking for photos that I could show here. So, John, if you're watching this, send me some photos. We'll put them on next week. The work is unbelievable.
What kind of stuff was he showing?
Oh, my gosh. He's got these cabinets that he's doing for a customer, and there's, like, carvings all over them, and they're curved, and he's got different woods in it. And this guy's coming up to me and telling me he likes my work. I'm like... So it doesn't matter who you are, we can always learn from each other, and I definitely was taken back at the workmanship that you've got there, John. So I meant to give you a shout out last week after the show. I totally forgot, but I had your card sitting on my desk, so I thought I would do it this week. So really nice job there, John. So all right, here we are, what we're doing in our shop. So as you guys have been hearing us talk for a while, we've been working on these offices, and we didn't do a whole lot over there this past week. We textured the walls and we primed them. That was about it. We were in there just for a day. We also had that other small job of a crawl space that we were building a little cover over, and so here's a photo of it. Not sure if the photo came out real good because of the sun. But basically, it's got some composite decking over it that we'll remove to give access to the crawl. And then they wanted to put a couple of chairs and a little table there, so we tried to build a little post and panel to help hide that unsightly air conditioner. Wasn't a big job. We also did several estimates this week, a couple of big kitchen remodel jobs. I don't even know if I want to take them on because they're big. A small bathroom remodel job that the customer has a couple of bathrooms in the house, so they said we can work on it, as we wish. So a lot of time was spent doing that. And I've got the Woodcraft Trade Show coming up this week. I'm going to be down there. They've invited me to go. Now, it's not open to the public. It's basically for the store owners and the employees, and it has all the vendors in there showing the new products that will be coming out and, trying to entice us with, the latest and greatest things.
Can you get me in?
I'm sure they would have. I just don't want to sleep in the same bed with you.
Yeah. No, that's not.
That's a little creepy. I love you, Dan, but not like that. So, but at any rate, so I'll be down there doing that, and they asked me to do a couple of demonstrations. So I did a three-legged little stool on Scott Phillips' show, and I'm going to be doing that demonstration the one day, and I'm going to raffle off or do a drawing of a nicer stool. So last week I showed you the stool. Here it is. I got it stained this week. I'm not really sold on the color. It's the part of the project I always hate, putting color on. I wanted to do a lighter color because that's what I prefer, but I know darker colors are kind of in. I felt like the darker color, though, is kind of hiding some of the detail to it, but at any rate, I'm giving it away. So, the other project is the next day I'm going to be doing a little shaker-style candle box. Both of these projects are done just with hand tools, no power tools at all. And this is a project that I actually teach a class on. It's the first of a series for doing hand tools, and it teaches you how to do a groove, rabbets, how to make straight cuts without a miter saw, and of course the raised panel that you have here on the lid. Again, all with hand tools. So I'll be demonstrating this, and I'll give this one away. This one's out of cherry and walnut. Now, the finish that I put on it, the finish is a product that you've probably heard me mention a couple times, something new that I'm playing with. It's a polyurethane blend, and the company is Crystal-Lac. Now, Crystal-Lac is one of these companies that they're not small, they're not big. You can find their product in some woodcraft stores, some Rockler stores, but you're not going to find it in a big box store like a Lowe's or a Home Depot. But what I'm finding so far that I like about the product is, it's a waterborne product. Everything is starting to go towards water-based. The government is really leaning towards that we go that direction. It's better for the environment. It's easier to clean up, and it has the low VOCs, so you don't have the fumes. I don't have to worry so much about my health with it. What's unique about this Crystal-Lac product is even after you open the container, it's got a shelf life of 5 years. That is really good, especially for you guys out there that aren't doing projects on a weekly basis. If you're doing something every couple of months, you certainly don't want to open your can and find that the polyurethane has got a skin over it, or it's dried out or something. So a 5-year shelf life even after it's open. The other neat thing about it is that usually with most polyurethanes, in between each coat that you put on, you have to sand. You don't have to do that with this stuff. You just apply it right over it. And it's smooth. It's nice. I really, so far, I like it. Now, the downside, at least for me, is I don't like mixing my water-based products with my oil-based product. So on the stool, I used an oil-based stain, and I used a regular polyurethane on it, an oil-based polyurethane. They offer water-based stains, but they don't have the water-based stains in the woodcraft that I go to. And I'm not going to order that online and decide I don't like the color. So the rep from the company actually watched one of these videos, and he talked to me after that. And they have a really cool new product. It's going to be launched this coming week. So I'm actually telling you before they're telling the public. They have a new product. It's a stain kit that you can get. It's 8 stains, all right, in this kit, and it can make over 300 color combinations. That I am really excited about.
What did they do? Give you the different recipes for it?
Exactly.
Oh, nice.
Exactly. So they said it can make everything from a very light pink all the way up to a dark walnut. And he gave me like a sample for if you wanted like a cobalt blue. It tells you like the portions of each stain color.
I never heard anybody doing that before.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what's really cool about it. Now, some might think, well, big deal. I don't need to be that specific. I am excited because like when I do cabinet cut downs, if you watch some of the other videos, I have to cut the door, reshape the panel, and then I have to match the stain on there. Okay, so sometimes when I go to the store, depending on who's working, it's either spot on or it's a mile off. So now I'm going to be able to mix my own stains for that touch-up. The other thing, too, is I've had a stain color by a company that I really, really like. I fall in love with it. I'll use it quite often. Then they discontinue it. So this is going to allow me to still make the colors that I enjoy. So I'm going to get one. I'll let you guys know, what I think of it and give you more information about it, as it develops. But at any rate, I think it's a really cool concept, and like Dan said, I don't know anyone else that's doing something like that. So that'll be coming. Okay, there is no viewer spotlight of the week. I mean, I had a lot of photos, I had a lot of email questions, but apparently no one wants to be spotlighted. So maybe I'm hurting their channel instead of helping. I don't know. Okay, so that brings us then to question of the week. Now, I forgot to do question of the week last week. It just slipped my mind. So 2 weeks ago, I had asked, what's your favorite tool? I mean, if you could only have like one power tool, or if you're a hand tool guy, what would it be? And, oh my gosh, the answers were like everything and anything.
All over the board.
All over the board. But the majority, it came down to bandsaw, lathe, table saw, and most people leaned towards the direction of me. Table saw was number one. And maybe they just said that so they'd get their name on the show. No, table saw seemed to be number one, and it really had a close number two is bandsaw and lathe. And I think like lathe people are kind of in a group of their own. They're kind of in a class of their own. They really focus a lot on turning and do some pretty amazing stuff. But anyhow, that's what it came down to. I had some people saying like, my number one tool is a pencil. Or my number one tool is my mind. Which, honestly, I can't argue with that. That is true. That does come into play. But just because I own a pencil doesn't mean I'm making anything. So, anyhow. That was really fun to see what your guys' favorite tools. It reminded me of, it might be 7-8 years ago when I worked with American Woodworker magazine. They called me the one day and said, hey, Chad, we need like a one-page article. We're just trying to fill something. Give us an article on your favorite tool, whatever it is. So I started thinking about that, and I thought, well, is it a tool I'm kind of sentimental towards, or is it a tool that I use every day to make money, because this is my job? So I decided the tool would be the one that makes me money. Well, then I couldn't figure out one specific tool. I had like a top 10 tools that I used.
I remember that.
Yeah. And so I took the pressure off me, and I said, here's my top 10. You guys pick the one you want to focus on. Well, they liked the top 10 list so much, they turned it from a one-page article to a two-page article. And I'll see, I have that article somewhere. I'll see if I can find it, and next week put it on the website in case you guys are curious what it is. Don't look for it this week, because I'm not going to have time. I just thought of it now. But I'll tell you next week if I get it on the website for you guys to read. So, again, it was fun to see what your guys' stuff was. Okay, so a couple of questions came in. I had a question from Peter James. Now, my video on Friday had to do with these miters, these uncommon miter angles that you would do on a miter saw. And I showed you how I made the measurement and cut this without even using a protractor. I didn't even care what the angle was. I showed you how to do that. And one viewer, Peter said, "Hey, that was really good, very interesting, but I showed just making the one cut, which was a smaller angle." He said, "I think your other cut would be way too steep for your miter saw to handle that." And he brings up a good point. Now, I remember doing this, and I didn't have to resort to any tricks to get my miter saw to do it, because my miter saw actually swings all the way to 60 degrees. But Peter had me thinking, so let me check real quick what this angle is. And this is the first time I'm checking this. I've never even checked this before. We got a protractor. And okay, it's at 55 degrees. So my miter saw clearly could make that cut at 55 degrees. But I think it's a valid question, because if you have a smaller miter saw that maybe only goes up to a 45, so here's a little clip I'll show you now on how you can get more angles out of your miter saw. So recently I did a video on cutting some miter joints. And someone on YouTube asked me, well, what do you do if you have to make a cut that's greater than 45 degrees and your saw can't handle it? Now, I happen to be pretty lucky because I have two saws and both of them go up to 60 degrees. Now, if you have a smaller miter saw, it may not. So here's a way on how you can cut more than 45 degrees. What I have is a scrap piece of wood that I've cut, as you can see, at 45 degrees, and a sacrificial board. And I'm going to place that here on the saw. And what I like to do is I like to clamp this down to my work surface. Okay, now keep in mind that this miter saw in its regular position is reading 0. But you're actually making that cut at 90 degrees. But the saw reads at 0. Now, with my miter piece, I have 45 degrees, and every degree that I move over, I can add to it. So if I move this at 5 degrees, 5 plus my 45 gives me 50. If I want to cut at 60 degrees, I would move it at 15, and then I could make this cut. Now, a couple of things of caution. The miter saw is really made to do cross-cutting. And at this steep angle, it's almost closer to a rip cut. And it's going to want to pull the board in closer to the saw. So I don't recommend you try holding this. It's just going to be too dangerous. So I would leave the board extra long. You can cut it to length when you're done, and also, too, put a clamp on this to make sure you hold it in place while you make that cut. Now, I can hear someone out there going, well, wait a second, Chad. If I take a protractor and I put this on there, it's going to read 30 degrees. Again, keep in mind the way this miter saw is set up. So if I took 30 degrees and subtracted that from 90, I've got 60. Well, I hope that answered your question. Okay, so that's my little tip on how to get more angles out of that. I might show that clip in a future episode as a little quick tip, so you guys already are in the know. So don't be surprised if you see that come out a little bit later. But it brought up another good question from a viewer. So Jacob Gomez. Jacob sent me an email, and he's working on a project, and he was having some trouble with some angles, and he was trying to get help from his neighbors and other people, and he wrote me sent me some photos, which were very helpful, but it was hard for me to type exactly what had to be done, so I just called him. I called Jacob, and we had a nice conversation, and I told him the best thing to do was to pick up a bevel. A bevel will help you with all kinds of angle problems. And he, like many others, said he saw me use this and was like, well, I don't fully understand how it works. I mean, there's no measurements on it. There's no scale of any sort. So I was giving him some tips on how to use it, and I thought that might be a good future video, how to use a bevel and all the different places that this can be used for in woodworking. But if you're going to buy a bevel, I thought right now I'd give you a couple of tips on what to look for. I usually buy mine at garage sales, and there's several things, advantages and disadvantages to it. This bevel here has this lever that swings on the front that locks the blade in place. And what's nice about it is it's very easy to work with your thumb, but because this is old, sometimes these get worn out, and if the lever stretches past the width of the handle, that can be a problem because that will interfere with the workpiece that you're trying to put in here. So make sure if you're looking at one of these that it locks in place within that width of the handle. Another style you can get is one where it locks on the bottom here. Now this is really nice feature, but if you're dealing with something on the floor, like if you got a baseboard you're trying to work, it now gets tough to tighten that and lock it in place. But for the most part, this is the kind that I prefer. Another one is, so this one has a knob on the front, a little bit different from the lever. And again, this I can really crank down, get it to hold nice and firm. But if you need to flip it over, sometimes in some applications that can be in the way. So it's not a big deal, but sometimes it's a problem. So I like to have a variety of them. The last kind you'll see will have like this knob here on it. And this is a rather, I don't want to say cheap, very cost-effective version. Does not cost much. I bought new out of, I think, Home Depot. The problem with it is it doesn't lock down tight. And that may not seem like a big deal, but trust me, you slightly bump this or you're putting it in the saw to line something up and you just put a little bit of pressure on it, a board against it, and it's going to change on you. So definitely whatever you pick up, make sure it locks down tight and it doesn't want to move. And honestly, I get these at garage sales for just a couple of bucks, and you can never have enough of these. So look for bevels. Trust me, once you have one, you'll find all kinds of places to use it. All right, so those were the questions that I had come in this week. My question to you guys is, because we're getting so many people sending things in, and again, I thank you so much. Honestly, this doesn't get like a whole lot of views, this series. The quick tips and the projects actually get more views, but I'm getting so many emails and so many photos from you guys, I want to include everyone. So my question to you is, how long should this show be? I mean, I think this, Dan, last week we were like over 20 minutes. I think this is going to be close to 30.
Yeah, it is.
So would you guys keep watching this if it went past 30? Or should I cut it off? I mean, how should I divide this up?
Leaving it to the viewer.
Leaving it to the viewer, yeah. We're putting it in your guys' hand. Watch them all say, quit doing the show. Okay, so, and that kind of like part B, what are some improvements? What would be some things you want to see on here? I had an idea a little while ago. I did a video on the Freud miter locking bit for the router, and I titled it, Should You Own One? And I thought that might be a nice little segment on this series. Now, I don't buy a lot of new tools. I have my tools and I make them work, but I have picked up a couple of new products recently. I got a couple of Wood River hand planes. I'm using that Crystal Lac product, and after I use it enough, I want to be able to give you guys an honest review of it, if you want to spend your money on it or not. Should we include something like that? Should you own it? Or keep that separate? Or no, you're not interested in that. We just want to focus on projects. I need you to help me. So that's my question to you guys this week. Video coming up this Friday. I want to show you how this top is attached to the wine station. I gave you a little bit of a teaser on last Friday's episode. I said I didn't nail it, I didn't screw it in, I didn't use any kind of fasteners that you would get at any of the stores. One fella said, "Oh, did you use the figure 8 washers on it?" No, I've used those in the past. They work really well. No, this is a old method that's been done. And one of the reasons I had to use this method is because of the drawer here. I can't get a screwdriver or a drill or anything in here to put a screw in from the bottom. So I think you'll be surprised on how well this works. I want to show that this Friday, but I don't know if I'm going to have time to edit the video after being out of town at the Woodcraft Vendor Trade Show, getting back and getting it all edited for you guys. So
are we going to get any inside information?
On the Woodcraft?
Yeah.
So, well, I don't even have any inside information.
Well, you will when you come back.
Well, when I come back, yeah. Hopefully. I mean, that should be a really exciting episode then on Monday. Yeah. But I'm just letting them know in advance there may not be a Friday video. Boo, hiss, boo. So that's where I'm at. As always, if you guys want to be on the show, if you want to be Viewer Spotlight of the Week, or if you just have questions in general, I'm always happy to help. Just be patient with me getting back to you. But you can write me at stantonfinefurniture@gmail.com. And Dan, is there anything else that we're missing? Anything you want to say?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, again, thank you guys, folks, so much for watching, encouraging us. I've had some really, really encouraging emails, some wonderful conversations with you guys. I can't thank you enough. It really, really brings a smile to my face. So until then, keep on dancing.